What's going on, guys? Meteorologist Jonathan Kegges back with you. We have made it to the first Friday of 2026, heading into the weekend, and there are some changes coming on the pipeline. We've been talking about the advertised warm-up that is already underway, and it is going to go nuts as we get into the back half of next week. Before we get there, though, we do have some rain chances finally popping back up across the board. And in some cases, I think we'll see the opportunity for some thunderstorms, even in North Florida and southern Georgia. The chance for a few storms to get a little rowdy late tomorrow afternoon, early into the evening as a cold front slides down. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to have the latest timeline on that, the severe weather risk area coming up in just 1 second. Then on the other side of the break, we're going to have an update on the drought that we alluded to last night is expanding in Florida and getting a little bit worse. So not what you want to see at this stage in the game, of course. We've been in the dry season since about the third week of October. It is typical for us to be dry, but normally we're not in this bad a shape in terms of the drought just yet until we start to get deeper into winter, more like February and into March and into April as we transition back into spring. That's whenever we start to get into wildfire season. So we need to reverse that quick. We do have some rain coming. I don't think that it's going to be enough to really help the situation too much, but we'll take what we can get. We're taking a live look tonight in Lake Weir, courtesy of our friends at WeatherStat. That's above me. Then in State College, Pennsylvania, there was a good shot of some snow on the ground. So wanted to bring that to you as we can, if we start to warm things up, it is still pretty cold across the northern tier of the country. So thank you to our friends at WeatherStat for the use of their extensive camera network. Here's the deal. Here's what I'm tracking tonight. And we have a nice chunk of high pressure sliding towards the Bahamas. Now, we're showing this to you guys over the last couple of nights that this guy was going to be responsible for sending us the extra clouds that we haven't played that we had today. Those continue to move across the Florida Peninsula due to the winds out of the west and southwest out over the Gulf. We'll continue to keep that into tomorrow. And then we're going to turn our attention to this guy right here. It's another cold front coming through. And as that happens, we will see the chance for a few thunderstorms right here in Central Florida. The best opportunity is going to be across North Florida. And that's where some of those could be on the stronger sides. The Storm Prediction Center has the area outlooked tomorrow for the chance for a few strong thunderstorms. I'm not talking about an outbreak or anything like that. But you see from about Mobile, south of Charleston, Savannah, Georgia, Jacksonville, to Cedar Key, just about, Tallahassee, Panama City, Pensacola, Port St. Joe, we're all in that kind of risk area for the chance for a few stronger thunderstorms tomorrow. It's been a while. I would not be surprised if we do see maybe a couple of tornado warnings even out of the deal. We get that a lot of times when the front's coming through and we have a little bit of wind shear. Again, I don't expect a huge day severe weather-wise, but nonetheless, it's something to be vigilant about for my friends tuning in from North Florida. Here is the timeline on all of this. So here's where we stand basically about an hour from now. And then overnight, I just expect the clouds to continue to roll in and out, just kind of in and out of that cloud deck that we've had this afternoon. That's 9 o'clock on our Saturday morning. I think we're dry. And then you see there late in the afternoon, early in the evening, some pretty nasty thunderstorms from about Jacksonville to Cedar Key at the time, just north of Gainesville. And okay, so no, I either misunderstood your question or misspoke because we've been way below for a long time. Um, we've been way, like not even close. The only spot that we're above was right like in Mount like where they had the really crazy, very heavy rainfall in October. So it might have been back there. September we might have been. September's still the wet season. So that's how quickly drought happens in Florida. They've been in drought, but yeah, September we might have been above. I'd have to go back and look, but yeah, no, no, no. This is we've been dry since about late October. So yeah, no, we've been dry for the last few months. But there's 4 to 5 o'clock on Saturday. That line of thunderstorms coming through, and then you see it crossing through the I-4 corridor. That's about 9 to 10 o'clock. A few rowdy thunderstorms possible there. I think most of that could be just some heavy rain. I don't think anything too strong. Um, and then we'll continue to push through South Florida as we get towards 7 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. I think South Florida will be dealing with some scattered showers and thunderstorms, maybe a few strong thunderstorms toward Fort Myers, back to Miami and the Keys. But as far as Central Florida is concerned, we'll have some clouds around and then gradually try to clear the sky before the sun goes down. Certainly by Monday, that is whenever I think we will get that part of the sunshine back, and then we start our big time warm up. In terms of the rain, I don't think it's a ton. I think where you see that gray color, that's where the rain is going to fall. I think for the most part, the rainfall should be under half an inch, and it's not going to be everywhere. Just like as we know in the summertime, some places can get a ton of rain, and some places can get hardly any. It'll be the same things where I do think late into the evening, the rain chances are going to be pretty high. But as you saw there, it's not going to be as heavy every single day. I do think you're going to get some rain New Smyrna Beach late tomorrow evening. You might be asleep though. Temperatures right now are in the 50s. They're playing a hockey game in Miami outside right as we speak, and it is in the low 60s right now in Miami, 59 in Orlando, 54 in Tallahassee, and there's the sign that things are really warming up. Look at Pensacola at this hour in the mid 60s, and that is all the warmth that we've been tracking for the last about 2 to 3 days out towards Texas that was eventually going to slide on through the Florida Peninsula, and we see that kind of working through from west to east. So the temperatures by the time you wake up tomorrow in Orlando in the mid 50s, Tallahassee around 60, Pensacola around the mid 60s, and Key West in the mid 60s as well. Miami, you're going to wake up into the mid 50s. Cold front is coming through early Saturday morning, like after midnight. That's when the front itself actually slides through. The storms associated with it will be late on Saturday evening. High temperatures on Saturday, back in the low 70s in Tallahassee. We're at 75 in Jacksonville. Saturday, we're at 71 in Tallahassee. Tampa, we're at 75. Vero Beach, we are at 75. And Miami, we're back to the mid 70s. So it's still technically below normal in extreme South Florida, but low to mid 70s across the northern tier of Florida puts us back above average in the temperature department as we move into Saturday. There you see the slightly cooler air. Again, we're still above normal. But it's a little cooler across the board. 75 in Vero Beach, 80 again in Miami. So there's the warmth, and that warmth is going to continue. Alrighty, guys, I have to get my first break of the night. I've already passed by the time I'm supposed to get the break. So I'm going to take that real quick, and then when we come back, we're going to talk all things drought and the expanding dry weather in Central Florida. See you guys in 3 minutes. Alrighty, guys, welcome back. Thanks so much for taking some time on your Friday night to hang out with us here. We're here every Monday through Friday at 9:30, and it's 9:42, and we're going to get into the second part of the show, which is all about the drought. So this is going to be the Central Florida Drought Monitor. I'll expand to show you the entire state in just 1 second. But the latest developments yesterday is now that parts of Central Florida is considered to be in a severe drought. So the yellow is abnormally dry, so not technically there yet across that big yellow chunk, but it's closing in on that. The beige color from about Mico to Lakeland up through the villages into Palm Coast, Ormond Beach, that is a moderate drought. So that has also expanded significantly. And then in that orangish color from about the west side of the villages in towards Denellen, Ocala, Fort McCoy, that is where we have the severe drought. So just to the west of the Ocala National Forest and through Cedar Key and the Big Bend. So that's where we're really starting to get ourselves into a little bit of trouble across the board. Expanding it out to the state, the entire state at least has some color, which obviously is not good. But the one, I guess, positive part, even though while we're still in extreme drought, they've had some rain closer to Tallahassee, in Lake City, where the exceptional drought was about a month ago. Now it's a little kidney bean shaped extreme drought to Tallahassee. Obviously, still not the best news, but that has actually improved from where we were about a month ago, give or take. In that situation, I was able to find this is the drought monitor from September 30th. So that's what it was looking like, and we just talked about that. That I thought that we had the drought across the Panhandle. We were doing okay in Central Florida still, across the board, and where we may have been talking about at that time, I can't remember. I have to go back and look at the thing because I always show the drought monitor every Thursday because it comes out every Thursday, and since we're in a kind of our new pattern of the show, I wanted to show you the astronomy side of things last night. That's what we do every Thursday. So I touched on the drought monitor last night and told you we would expand on it today. That's why we're talking about it on Friday. But so I had to go back and look to see. But yeah, we've talked about how every single Thursday, really for the last couple of weeks, it has expanded. And we can go back and check that. That was the 3 month ago one, and we can check last week to date. And then all of this stuff is on the United States Department of Agriculture website. And then that's the big kind of thing that ratcheted up from last week, just before Christmas, to now where we are yesterday, is the fact that the orange color has really expanded on the west side of Central Florida through the I-75 corridor. So those are the things that we're going to be watching. And there's not really a ton of rain inside. I mean, we are tracking rain for tomorrow evening, so we'll take what we can get. I don't think it's a ton, although there should be some thunderstorms out there. But nonetheless, it'll any rain is beneficial, obviously. But I don't know that it's going to be enough to kind of reverse. Some places can pick up a quarter of an inch to a half an inch. But anyway. Zachary Berger makes a good point that we're supposed to be going into an El Nino this year. That is very true. The issue is it's not going to be here in time to help switch the pattern to a wet one. That's more for hurricane season where it may help. Elizabeth, hey, good to see you. Yes, it is not a good thing that we go this long without rain for sure. Let me see here. Looking at some comments real quick. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the hurricane season, because the deal with that is the last 2 seasons we've been in have been La Nina, and they've been relatively tame. And the last real active season was an El Nino year. That was 2022. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. There's something going on with the ocean temperatures and things like that. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens and if we have a repeat performance of the last time we had an El Nino. Typically, though, that's what happens. It helps the season be a little more tame. But nonetheless, the last time we had an El Nino, it wasn't. No doubt about it, Melissa. that 100% means that we could have more wildfires through wildfire season. And even before, we've already had a couple of brush fires out there this year, and without rainfall, that's just going to add fuel to the fire. There is the precipitation outlook over the next 30 days. So um, the darker the color, the higher the probability that we're going to be below normal in the temperature department. And I mean, or the rainfall department. And look how bright orange that color is pretty much over the entire state of Florida. So I am expecting things to get drier. If you were with it, I think we talked about it I normally put out the winter forecast in the middle of October, our winter forecast, talking about whether it's going to be dry or wet or warm and all that stuff. But we talked about that we would have the ups and downs through about the first half of January, with cold coming in, rebounding, and then more cold coming in. So far, that part of the forecast has worked out very, very well. Now, the second part of the forecast we said was by the time we got to the middle of January, it was likely going to be a runaway blowtorch that brought about a ton of dry weather as well. And so far, it looks like that we might be turning the corner by the end of next week already. I mean, we're talking mid-80s in Central Florida by next Friday. I mean, mid-80s is pretty significant, especially when we just came from the mid-50s for highs just a couple of days ago. So pretty wild stuff on that front. And again, we're going to keep again, we have rain in the forecast for tomorrow, which is obviously good. But we'll see what happens as we get deeper into the winter. Alrighty, guys, have to get my second break. Coming back, I'm going to check out some of these questions and do my best to answer them when we get back in just 3 minutes. Alrighty, guys, welcome back. I wanted to show you the rainfall model. This is what the high resolution model is kind of spitting out for rainfall totals. Again, I think anywhere from a quarter of an inch to a half an inch where you get stuck under one of the heavier thunderstorms. You see it's pegging 0.72 for Orlando, 0.33 for Jacksonville. And again, don't take those numbers as gospel. That's just where the model is thinking that where the heavier rain will be. That's the number that it's putting out there. So again, some places may end up with a decent amount of rain. It's not going to be widespread though, and you're going to have to get lucky to see that. Again, there should be a decent line of rain moving through. I'll show you that again if you're just joining us. The timeline of that. Again, this is really the first thing we've had to track in quite some time. I mean, that's a nice line of rain moving through Jacksonville and Cedar Key, Gainesville, coming through. That'll definitely help the drought situation. That is nice as well. That's going to be 8, 9, 10 o'clock moving through central Florida. Nice dose of rain right on through the I-4 corridor. And then that pushes further south to Palm Bay, Yeehaw Junction. So I think it's going to be decent. So that'll at least be good. We will take what we can get. I think the issue is that after this, there's really not a lot of rain in the forecast. And it gets warm and it gets sunny. Jody, happy birthday to both you guys. I think I can manage the sunshine on Monday. We should have it back out in full force behind this system, and it's going to be gorgeous as well. Temperatures into the mid 70s, I believe, if I remember correctly from the 7-day forecast. Free Thinker, have a great weekend as well. Hope everybody has a great weekend. If you're wanting the latest data, it is coming on hot off the press as we speak. I'm going to show you that coming up at News 6 at 10. If you're watching on News 6 Plus, keep it parked right there. And if you're watching on the YouTube side of things, same channel, different thumbnail. That's going to be News 6 at 10. I will see you guys in about 3 minutes. Thanks so much for being here, guys. Have a great and safe weekend. Keep tabs on the rain with me. And if you have a rain gauge, I'd love to know how much rain you picked up when we talk again on Monday at 9:30. Have a great night, guys.